Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Saturday Stitching. Now you may notice that this was not uploaded on Saturday. I recorded an entire episode on Saturday and had it ready to upload, but something weird happened with the audio where it was not syncing with the video. My daughter and I could not figure out how to fix it, so we just trashed the whole video and decided to start fresh in the morning. Or afternoon. So here it is, Sunday afternoon, and I'm trying once again. For those of you who are new here, my name is Danny. I am Danny and NC on Ravelry and Danny and NC on Instagram if you want to check either one of those out for some past projects that I've done. My Instagram is a lot of repeats, is new, and it's mostly repeats of what you'll see on Ravelry because I started using Instagram primarily because it's the easiest way to upload photographs to Ravelry. But you may see a few things there that aren't on Ravelry. Like if I make dishcloths, I'm not uploading a pile of dishcloths to Ravelry. So you can check both of them out if you want to. Let's get a few administrative notes, as they say, out of the way. I want to keep it 100 with you, like the kids say. Number one, it is 85 degrees and I live in the South and I've turned my air conditioner off, which means you may see at any point in this video my cup of ice water, my cool damp rag, or sweat dripping down my nose. But those are the consequences so that you don't have to hear the air conditioner running. You may hear, I never hear, when people say you may hear such and such in the background, I never hear it, but maybe it's because my hearing is not that good. But just in case you may hear something rumbling in that direction, that would be my dishwasher, and that's just proof that I actually do housework before I start handling these things like knitting or making videos. If you hear something squeaking in that direction, that would be my daughter sitting in an easy chair and forgetting that I'm making a video. Okay, so now that we got all of that out of the way, let's talk about what I've been stitching. There are no finished objects this week. There may not be any finished objects for a while, although I am getting close on a couple things. But for those of you, again, who are new here, I work on a needlework rotation, which means each day of the week I work on a different project so that I can show all my whips a little bit of love and not get bored. So Sunday is my gift project, and Sunday is the project that we're going to talk about the most today. If you're a return visitor, you know that I was working on the Fluffy Lap Blanket by Nikki Epstein, and I was so proud of myself for memorizing the pattern because it is a short pattern and it was from a library book, so I wanted to make sure I knew how to do it before I returned the book. Okay, so here's what we've got so far. I hope you can see the yellow progress keeper right here. This is what I got done since making the last video. You may also notice that this panel here is straighter than the bottom panel here, which is all ruffled. That's where the problem comes in. Okay, you basically, with this pattern, you cast on a certain number of stitches, you knit the first panel, then you switch to, with the mohairy type yarn, then you switch to a different yarn for the stripe, and the stripe is supposed to be something of a band to make this part look more ruffly or more gathered, like a gathered fabric. So you cast on these stitches, then you decrease so that you end up with half as many stitches for the stripe, and then you're supposed to increase when you go back to casting on the mohair fabric again. Well, as you can see from the flatness of this panel, guess who didn't increase? And then I didn't decrease when I got to this again either. So Now, those of you who know me, because I was just bragging last week about right here, you may not be able to see it, but there is a garter stitch ridge in the mohair type panel that that's not supposed to be garter, but I said, it's a design element, I'm not fixing it. Okay. And if this blanket was staying here in the house, and if I hadn't made the second mistake of not doing the increases and decreases, if this blanket was staying in the house, I would just leave this panel the way it is and do more increases and decreases in the future. However, since this is supposed to be a gift blanket, possibly to go to one of my husband's aunts for Christmas, I need to make sure it's right. So I'm going to have to rip all the way back. Now, if you watch my other videos, you know that I already ripped this back once, ripped it back and started completely over because it wasn't wide enough to me for a lap blanket, and I cast on more stitches than the thing called for. So I'm going to rip back at least to here so I can start again from the second panel. So hopefully this will be the last mistake I make, and then I can get, because this was supposed to be a quick knit, I'm supposed to be on to the second one by now, because I'm planning to make 3 of them. I'm supposed to be on to the second one by now, but I'm not going to give it up. Normally I would be like, ugh, I'm disgusted, and throw it away. Not throw it away, but you know, it would go into the what was I thinking pile and not get frogged for another 10 years. But I'm going to go ahead and take care of it, because that's my new resolution, if you will. My new plan is to not give up on things so easily and get bored and get disgusted. That's my new plan. So that was the Sunday knitting. Excuse me. See, I'm already starting to work up a sweat. Again, excuse me. So Monday is devoted to my daughter Maya. Hi, Maya. And last week I said I was going to make her some knee-high socks out of Red Heart, but I didn't like the Red Heart that I was using. So this past Monday I went back and forth. What am I going to make for her? I finally decided, since this is, first let me show you the yarn. This is the yarn. It is, I don't know if you can see the color. It is Patton's Stretch Sock, and the color is called Sugar. It is pink that fades into like a lighter pink, and then there's like a cream color, and then there is a gray that kind of fades into the cream. So it's basically pink, gray, and cream. So there's only really 3, even though some of the pink is light and some of the pink is dark, essentially it's only 3 colors, which I like better than the other Patton socks yarns that I bought. And as I said, this is a discontinued yarn. And I bought this 10 years ago for Christmas with the plan. It was a promise gift. You know how sometimes as a knitter you give a promise gift. You put the balls of yarn in a gift bag and say, here is the promise of socks in the future. That's what happened with this. Only the promise did not come to pass, because I went through a long period where I was not knitting or crocheting anything. So here I am again. So I just decided, because there was a knee sock pattern that went specifically, that Patton's put out to go specifically with this yarn, but it called for 3 balls of sock yarn for her foot size, which I probably could have gone on eBay and found that, even though this is discontinued, I could have gone on eBay and found another ball of this yarn in this color. But frankly, my budget is so tight that even $10 on a ball of yarn is a bit much right now. So I did not do that. So I just decided, well, since I already started learning how to do toe up socks, I normally, in the past, all the socks I've made have been cuffed down, except for one pair of crochet socks, and I don't like the texture of crochet socks, so we don't count those. I decided, well, I'll knit them toe up, and just one ball for each sock. I'll do them both at the same time, and when I run out of yarn, that's how long the socks are going to be. And I consulted with her, and she said she was fine with it, because I didn't want to go to all this trouble and then she's not going to wear the socks. I've learned my lesson. I've been consulting with all of my children. Do you like this color? Are you going to wear a pair of socks? Are you going to wear this hat? Blah, blah, blah. Because I'm not wasting time anymore and seeing stuff go in the bag to the Goodwill. I know you're supposed to do this for the love of the stitching and not for the applause that you get from other people. But I'm not that noble. I don't want to knit something that my kids are not going to wear or that my husband is not going to wear. I want to make sure, and if they tell me flat out they're not going to wear hand knits, then my feelings aren't going to be hurt. I'm just like, okay, I won't make it. My feelings would be more hurt if I made it and they didn't wear it, and I've already had that happen in the past, so I'm not going to go there anymore. So I consulted with her, and so this is all that I got done on Monday, because I've never done, I don't know if you can see the color, how it's pooling. Maybe that'll help. Anyway, I've never done 2-at-a-time socks, and as I said last week, I thought learning toe up and magic loop, those were my two new techniques that I was learning so far, and I felt like trying to add 2 at a time was a bit much. But then Kai Shanae, another YouTuber, reminded me of the tutorial that Happy Knits, who also has a YouTube channel. It's Happy, HAPPEEKNITS. She has a tutorial on how she does 2-at-a-time socks, and she walks you through the whole thing. And I'm subscribed to her channel, and I had seen that tutorial, but I had skipped over watching that video because I thought, I'm grown. I know how to make socks. I prefer to make them cuffed down. I prefer, and she uses something called the Flegel heel. I prefer the short row, gusset, whatever. When I started knitting in the 90s, everybody was pretty much using the same heel, and that was what I learned how to do. And it was before all these fancy heels started getting popular, fish lips, partridge, whatever, afterthought. Well, people were doing afterthought when I learned in the 90s, but that was considered radical. So So I thought I didn't need to watch her video and learn how to do another way to do socks. Well, here I am eating my words, and I'm watching her video and learning and knitting from a video. This is the second project that I'm learning from a video. This is also a new technique for me. This is the week of new techniques, I guess. And so far, so good. Right now I'm doing the increases on the toes, so hopefully it'll be smooth sailing once I get to the foot part. It'll be smooth sailing for a while till I get to the heel, so I'm looking forward to getting to that. I hope I'll make quicker progress, but maybe not. Okay, Tuesday is for my daughter Sydney, and as we know, I do have an Afghan in progress for her, but that project is hibernating at the moment because I just don't want to deal with it right now. I wanted to make something quick for her that I could give her, because I've already made a couple quick projects for her twin sister Chloe, and so I wanted to make something quick for her that I could give her before the summer was out, because I know that Afghan's going to take me a while. So I'm making her a halter top. I'm making it, as I said last week, it's called the DIY Festival Crochet Top. There is no written pattern. It is all from a video. And this project was the first time I did anything from a video with no written pattern. And it's a little weird for me, quite frankly, because I live and die by the written pattern. Even if the work in my hand doesn't look right, I'm like, well, the pattern said do this. So I'm trying to get out of that habit and use my years of even though I consider myself an advanced beginner, I've read enough patterns and tried enough patterns. Even if I haven't finished enough objects, I've read and tried enough patterns that I kind of have an instinct when something doesn't look right, but I don't trust my instinct. Just like in the kitchen for years, it's like, I know this is not going to taste good. I know these ingredients that they're putting together, my family is not going to want to eat this. But I kept thinking, if I follow the recipe magically is going to turn into something delicious, and sometimes it does not. So I'm starting finally at the aged and confused age of 50 years old that to trust my instincts and do what I think, make a little change. It's like, just like I thought I was too grown to watch a tutorial, well, I'm starting to learn that I'm grown, and if I don't like golden raisins, then why am I putting them in this recipe just because this recipe says it's authentic or whatever? The recipe police are not going to come to my kitchen. Just leave out the golden raisins, because you know nobody in your family is going to eat them. So anyway, so last week I had 1 bra cup, and this week, I hope Randy's watching, I know she'll be proud of me, I've got basically the whole top here. Now the bottom, underneath, I don't know if you can see, but underneath the bra cups, there's going to be more of a lace panel, because I'm not just sending my daughter, she's 20 years old, but I'm not just sending her out in a bra. As I've said before on these videos, she's 20, she's got a job, she can buy whatever she wants to wear, and I can't really stop her, but I'm not going to enable her by making something that's going to have all this cleavage and boob hanging out and everything like that, not consciously. So this is what I've got so far, and I'm really excited. Oh, and I did get the 1 strap done, and I really like the way this strap works up, because you pretty much, you chain 3 and, well, wait a minute, oh no, yeah, you do a double crochet, and then you chain 3, and then you turn around and you go into the top of the double crochet, and then you chain 3, and then you turn around and you go into the top of that double. I'm not describing it very well, but it makes a nice kind of stretchy, yet it's kind of flat, and it's stable, and it's faster to work than I-cord, which is the only other thing. I've only made 1 other halter top, and I made I-cord for that halter top. It was a knit halter top, and the straps were I-cord. And I-cord, number one, I do not like using DPNs for just 2 or 3 stitches, and I-cord feels like it takes forever to make. This took no time at all. So I think in the future, even if I knit a halter top, I will just do this for the straps, because it's just much easier. So hopefully this might be an FO next week, maybe. Okay, and then Wednesday is twin sister Chloe's project. And Kai, I know you've probably already gotten to the heel of your sock, but this is where I am on my sock. This is Chloe's sock, and as you can see, maybe you can see from the Progress Keeper, there we go, from the Progress Keeper right here, that I managed to knit roughly, that's roughly an inch since last week, because on my girls weekend last weekend I worked on the halter top, I worked on the socks, and I worked on the Afghan, but we know the Afghan is a waste, so that just counts as wasted time. I hope to put more work into this and get more done on all of these now that I'm getting into more of a routine. Thursday and Friday are the days for my husband and my son, and I do not have, and Saturday is the day for myself, to make something for myself. My son, The two projects I have in mind for him, I do not have the yarn, as I mentioned, and as I also mentioned, I do not have the budget to buy the yarn at the moment. So a thought occurred to me. I didn't start working on it this week, but you may see it next week. A thought occurred to me that there is a green in our den. He works 2 jobs, and he's about to start school in September. So he's taken over our den as kind of between his 2 jobs. When he has a moment to rest, that's where he sits to read or play on his PlayStation 4 or watch TV. And he had that recliner is pretty much his, because most of the year his sisters are gone, so it's just me, him, and his father, and so the den is pretty much his, and the recliner, that green recliner, is his. And I have some light green yarn, which on its own, even though green is my favorite color, on its own, that light green yarn, it's just a shade that just does not appeal to me for a hat. Or I tried to make a hat, I tried to make gloves. I was like, I do not like this. But then I noticed that it matches well with even though I don't like it in clothing items, it matches well with the recliner, which is like a darkish green tweed. Okay, sweat dripping down the nose, people, sorry. So I saw a crochet pattern for a caddy, a remote caddy. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these. It hangs over the arm of, you hang it over the arm of your recliner, and it has pockets, and you can put your remote in it or whatever. I want to make one with 3 pockets that he can put the TV remote, his wireless PS4 controller, and his glasses, because currently there's like a little ottoman that he sits stuff on, and it kind of falls off. And there's also the recliner. The way our den is situated, the staircase is right next to the recliner, so where he's sitting, he can touch the stairs. So he has a habit of putting, like, sitting his glasses or remote or something. And I'm scared somebody's gonna step on his glasses coming down the stairs, or kick the glasses off the stairs or whatever. So I thought it would be nicer to have it in this pocket on the ottoman, and it'll give me a chance to use up this Red Heart yarn that, for the most part, quite frankly, I think it's kind of ugly. But when it's next to the chair, it doesn't look ugly. It looks like it matches the chair. It just looks ugly on its own to my eye. So I think that's what I'm going to make for him. My husband, I still don't have anything, because he pretty much likes hats and socks and scarves. That's pretty much it. He's allergic to wool, so most of the sock yarn that I've seen is wool based, or the non-wool based yarn has acrylic in it, and I'm afraid that will make his feet sweat too much. So and the yarn that I've seen that's like cotton and bamboo and nylon is like $8 a hank or something, and I just don't have it in my budget right now to make a $16 pair of socks. I don't know if I'll ever be able to bring myself to spend $16 to make a pair of socks. So we'll see. Hopefully I can find a less expensive option, or I may end up just trying one of those acrylic yarns and see how sweaty his feet get, because I could be wrong. Maybe they won't make his feet sweat. I don't know. I've just heard people say that acrylic is sweaty, and I've never really made stuff for myself and worn it, so I don't know if acrylic is sweaty. As for myself, the Saturday project, I did start something this Saturday, because Saturday is either for myself or for the home, what I call home deck. So, you know, like if I'm going to make a pillow or something, and the thing that I'm making for my son technically qualifies as home deck, but it's for him because he's the only one who sits in that area. Anyway, you know that I was making dishcloths and things before for my kitchen. I've kind of gotten on a little bit of an obsession with the dishcloths. I didn't really make dishcloths before. I didn't know people made dishcloths until I got back into knitting and crocheting in the 90s. I didn't realize people made dishcloths, and even then I tried making one or two and they didn't work out for me. And it turned out you can't put fabric softener in dishcloths, they won't absorb. I just learned that this year. So now I've made a couple dishcloths and I'm happy with them. So now I'm kind of got this obsession to make dishcloths and pot holders and things for my kitchen. Little side note, I grew up in my house, anything that was like this size, whether it was a hand towel or a dish towel, if it was clean, it got used in the kitchen. Okay, anything this size, again, washcloth, dishcloth, we didn't really distinguish in the house I grew up in. If it was clean, you pulled it out of the clean laundry basket and you used it in the kitchen. If you needed it in the kitchen, you used it in the bathroom if you needed it in the bathroom. It's just now that I'm really starting to make the distinction of, okay, I want a pile of towels that are meant specifically for the kitchen, and then these other hand towels meant for the guest bathroom if somebody needs a hand towel to dry their hands. I want a pile of squares that are meant specifically for the kitchen for wiping counters and stuff. These other ones are for washcloths, and then these other really raggedy looking ones we can use as rags for, you know, wiping floors and stuff like that. So I'm not the greatest housekeeper, so I'm just now coming to this conclusion. So now I really want to make more dishcloths. Now the you know, the sponges that you use, I'm getting to the project I started, promise. The sponges that you buy for your kitchen, I don't know if it's like this I don't know if we have any international viewers, maybe we don't, but here in the States, the sponges that you buy, it's typically like a yellow sponge, and then on the top of it is a scrubby section, a dark green scrubby section. You get them like at the dollar store or whatever, and they get yucky and manky after a while and you throw them away. Well, I saw a pattern since I'm making a bunch of dishcloths, and I still have a bunch of that scrubby yarn left, both in the tan and in the tropical color that I got for Mother's Day. So this is what I started. Okay, this right here is the tan scrubby, and then this here, this section here, is what's left over from the Sugars and Cream cotton, 100% cotton, in the colorway Natural Stripes. It's got like a peachy color and a cream color, and then you can see there's a tan color starting here. It's the same thing that I used for the Star Trek pot holder. I have a little bit of that left over. I'm just about to start a third panel, and then what's going to happen is you fold it, and then there's going to be a third panel that's going to fold out here that's going to have bobbles on it. So it's going to be like a dishcloth. This is going to be, I mean, like a dish sponge. This is the scrubby part. This middle section is mainly here just to give it some squishiness and some heft. And then there's going to be a bobble part. I got this pattern from, I got it on Ravelry, and it leads you to a blog called Book Something Studio. I can't remember the actual name of it. If I remember it, my daughter will put it down here somewhere, or we'll put the link in the description below. Either one. It's Book Something Studio, and so far I think, because I've already made dishcloths out of the scrubby that I really like. Some people who have made this pattern are holding the scrubby with a strand of cotton together. I can't. I've tried doing that 3 different times with the scrubby cotton and with the regular scrubby. I just don't like holding scrubby with another yarn. It makes it too difficult to work with. It's already kind of fussy to work with as it is, not too fussy, as long as you don't really care what stitch you're going into, just get in the general area, you know. But I don't like holding it with another yarn, so I didn't do that. But so far I'm hoping that this will work in my kitchen, because I have enough yarn to make a second one, and then we can have something that we can throw in the washing machine instead of buying. I know it's not going to save us a ton of money, but you know, it's better for the environment, they say. But you know, you're using water to wash it, so I guess it's 6 of one, half dozen of another, right? But I just feel better using something like this and washing it rather than the alternative. So that's everything that I have worked on this week. Yesterday was World Knit in Public Day. I was out in public, but I was at a graduation party, and normally even at a graduation party I would whip out my knitting and sit down in a chair, but quite frank, and I brought my knitting and it was in a bag, but it just didn't seem like the right place to do it. Again, normally I don't care. I have knit in church, I knit in the theater, I knit anywhere, but I don't know, the vibe just felt like I should probably not bring my knitting out, and I was not feeling well yesterday anyway, so I just was more focused on trying to be sociable and not look like I was going to throw up or pass out. So so I did not grab my knitting, but I would love to know if any of you did any knitting in public yesterday. There was a function at the museum, at the History Museum in one town over, the town I used to live in, that I would have gone to if I didn't have this party to go to. And so possibly if they do it again next year and I remember, maybe I'll be able to do that next year. But again, I'd love to hear if any of you did any knitting in public. Did you go to any knitting in public events? Because I don't think, back in the 90s, people talked about knitting in public as a radical thing to do, because younger people, you know, back then I was in my late 20s, early 30s when I got back into knitting, and it was considered more or less a radical thing to do, to have your knitting and sit out in the park and knit, especially if you were in your 20s or your 30s. You weren't a grandma or whatever. But now I don't think anybody thinks it's a radical. Just the act of doing it seemed radical. I don't think anybody thinks it's radical anymore. So I think now World Knit in Public Day is more about going to an event and being out in the park or whatever, so that other people who think they might want to learn how to knit, you're there, that they can walk up to you and ask you about knitting or what have you, or learn how to do a few stitches or ask a question or what have you. I think that's more what it's about. That's my impression anyway. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. And I will, hopefully you'll be seeing this video and I don't have problems with uploading like I did yesterday. So so that's all for now, and I will talk to you all next week. Bye.